So imagine you or maybe the company you work for just spent the last 6 months doing this massive brand overhaul.
Oh, yeah, the endless strategy meetings.
Right, exactly. The endless meetings. You are debating color palettes and typography until your eyes are basically crossed.
And you finally push the launch button.
Yes, you finally launched this beautiful, sleek, new website. The design is flawless. The visual elements just pop off the screen.
High fives all around the conference room, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. You pop open the champagne, you send the link out to the world, and you wait for the magic to happen.
But then you actually look at the analytics.
Yeah, then you look at the analytics.
Yep.
Traffic arrives, sure, but the conversions completely flatlined.
It's brutal.
It is. Visitors are landing on your masterpiece of a homepage, and they are leaving in mere seconds. You're just sitting there staring at the screen wondering what went wrong.
It's a devastating scenario, but honestly, I mean, it happens every single day. Teams build what they consider to be a digital masterpiece, but the actual audience treats it like a revolving door.
A revolving door, yeah.
Because the friction isn't in the design. The friction is entirely in the communication.
Okay, let's unpack this because that friction is exactly the mission for today's deep dive into the source material.
It's a great topic.
We're looking at this fascinating approach developed by a firm called Stellipop.
Right, the management consulting guys.
Exactly. They offer things like fractional COO and CMO services.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially dropping part-time executive-level talent into growing companies to help steer the ship. And they do management consulting and website development too.
They get a really inside look at how these companies operate.
They do. And they've just released this new AI diagnostic tool called Honest Abe. So through their research in this new framework, we're going to dissect the brutal truth about website messaging.
The stuff nobody wants to hear.
Exactly.
Sure.
We're going to explore why what you think you are saying to your customers is absolutely not what your visitors are actually hearing.
Right.
And how prioritizing this extreme ruthless clarity over professional jargon can fix this exact problem.
It's a vital concept for anyone involved in business or communication to grasp, really. Stellipop's documentation reveals a pretty startling pattern. Most founders and business owners sincerely believe their website clearly explains what they do.
They really do.
They operate under this assumption that a visitor lands on the page and just instantly understands the value proposition, the target audience, the competitive advantage, all of it.
Because it's so obvious to them.
Exactly. But after evaluating hundreds of companies, their data shows this assumption is almost universally incorrect.
So the leadership team looks at the website and thinks it makes total sense, but the actual visitor is completely lost.
Yeah, that disconnect stems from a psychological phenomenon we often call the curse of knowledge.
The curse of knowledge.
Right. The founders, the executives, even the internal marketing teams, they're simply way too close to their own business to see their messaging gaps clearly. Think about their daily reality.
They live and breathe this stuff.
They know absolutely everything about their company. They know the founding history, the nuanced product specifications, the 5-year roadmap, the intricacies of their service delivery.
And the visitor knows none of that.
The people visiting their website for the first time know absolutely none of that.
It's a massive blind spot.
Huh.
The internal team is operating on, say, chapter 20 of the company's story, but the visitor hasn't even read the back cover yet.
That's a great way to put it.
The website might feature these cutting-edge animations, and all the services might be listed in a sleek drop-down menu, but the foundational message is missing.
The core answer to what is this and why am I here?
Right. It's buried under layers of assumed knowledge.
Precisely. The gap between the internal expertise of the leadership team and the external clarity required by a brand new visitor is where all potential revenue gets lost.
It just vanishes.
You are building a maze where you know every single turn, and you are acting surprised when a stranger walks in and immediately hits a dead end.
And the really unforgiving part of this whole dynamic is the ticking clock.
The 5-second window.
Yes, the materials emphasize that the real test of all your hard work happens the exact moment a new visitor lands on the homepage. You do not get minutes to explain yourself or walk them through a slide deck.
You get about 5 seconds.
5 seconds. Our materials mention visitors are basically interrogating the site in those first few seconds. Obviously, they're trying to figure out what the company actually does, but there's a duper psychological checklist happening too,
I think there is. It's a very specific subconscious filtering process. Once that visitor figures out what the company does, assuming the site even communicates that clearly in the first place, They instantly pivot to a more selfish framework.
What's in it for me?
Exactly. They want to know, does this solve my specific problem? If they can't connect the company's offering to their own immediate pain point, they bounce.
Right, the relevance factor.
Yeah.
And if they somehow figure out what you do and they realize it actually is relevant to their problem, there's still one more hurdle.
Trust. That third silent question is always, why should I trust these people? If a website makes sweeping claims but provides zero evidence to back them up, the visitor's internal alarm bells go off.
Of course.
If the answers to those three questions, what do you do? Is it relevant to my problem and why should I trust you, are not immediately obvious without having to scroll endlessly, the visitor simply moves on to a competitor.
It reminds me of being at a networking event.
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
Right. Imagine walking up to someone, shaking their hand and asking what they do.
And you just want a simple answer.
Exactly. But instead of simply saying, I help small businesses reduce their tax burden, they launch into this monologue using massive corporate buzzwords.
Reciting their resume.
Yes, reciting their resume and talking about their synergistic paradigm shifts and cross-functional deliverables.
You'd be looking for the nearest exit in 5 seconds.
You would. You don't know what they do. You don't know how it helps you. And you certainly don't trust them to handle your finances because they can't even communicate clearly.
No trust at all.
That is exactly what these convoluted websites are doing to visitors every single day.
What's fascinating here is exactly how that communication breakdown manifests on the screen. The research gets very specific about the root of this problem.
Okay, let's get into the root.
It is rarely an issue of grammatical errors or poor vocabulary. It is an issue of fundamental focus. The messaging on these struggling websites almost always leans heavily into describing services and capabilities rather than focusing on outcomes.
The classic trap of listing all the tools in your toolbox rather than describing the beautiful house you were going to build for the client.
That is the perfect analogy. Companies are obsessed with their own capabilities. They want to list every feature, every methodology, every minor service they offer because they are proud of them.
Which is natural. They built them.
It is natural, but the visitor does not care about your methodology. They care about their own outcome.
Give me the result.
Exactly. Instead of showing actual proof that they can deliver that outcome, companies rely on sweeping generic statements. They say they offer premier solutions instead of proving they increased a client's revenue by 20%.
Premier solutions means absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all. Over time, the lack of outcomes, the lack of concrete proof, and the lack of clear direction all compound. The traffic arrives, the visitors browse aimlessly looking for an answer, and the conversions stay stubbornly low.
It's the trap of wanting to sound professional and sophisticated. You sit around that conference room and someone drafts a headline that sounds very smart and very corporate.
And everyone nods.
Yeah, it gets approved because it uses all the industry jargon the internal team uses every day, feels safe, but to the visitor, it is completely impenetrable.
Like a brick wall.
So how did the creators of this framework actually isolate this issue? Because this wasn't just a sudden guess. They saw this happening over and over again in their consulting work.
They identified a massive flaw in how feedback is generated in the corporate world. Leaders were constantly coming to them asking the right questions.
Like, is our message clear?
Right. Is our message clear? Do we stand out from our competitors? Why aren't we converting? The problem wasn't the questions. The problem was the ecosystem in which they were asking them.
It's the classic consulting dilemma. You want to deliver value to the client, but you also want them to rehire you.
Exactly.
You don't want to walk into a boardroom and tell the CEO that the website they just spent a fortune on is completely incomprehensible.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of business dynamics, human feedback is inherently flawed because it is burdened by social contracts.
We want to be nice.
Reviewers, whether they are internal marketing teams or external consultants, try way too hard to be polite. The documentation highlights a perfect example of this dynamic.
Let's hear it.
Instead of a strategist looking at a poorly written website and stating the brutal truth, your core message is unclear and confusing, they will offer polite, sanitized feedback.
Sugarcoating it.
Yes. They will say something like, there may be opportunities to refine your positioning to better capture market share.
Opportunities to refine your positioning. That sounds so gentle and strategic.
That sounds great.
It sounds like a mild suggestion discussed over a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But it is entirely useless if your house is currently on fire and you are losing customers by the minute.
It is technically true, but practically useless. Clear improvement requires clear, objective insight. You cannot fix a fundamental messaging failure if everyone in the room is too afraid of office politics or hurt feelings to point out that the message is actually failing.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because Stellipop realized that human consultants and definitely internal teams are just too polite, too close to the project, or too bogged down in consulting jargon to deliver that necessary brutal honesty.
They can't do it.
So they built something that does not care about your feelings, your office politics, or your budget constraints. They built an AI tool, and they named it Honest Abe.
It is a brilliant application of the technology. They realized that an AI lacks human emotion and the fear of getting fired.
It doesn't need to be rehired.
Right. It doesn't care who wrote the copy. It just reads the cold, hard text. They asked themselves, what if we could run a website through a system that evaluates its clarity the exact same way a ruthless, highly experienced strategist would, without any of the sugarcoating?
I love that concept. Not politely, honestly. And because we are doing a deep dive into the source material here, the sheer speed and objectivity of this tool is really what stands out.
It's incredibly fast.
The documentation states it takes less than a minute. You bypass the weeks of consulting interviews and delicate presentations.
Straight to the point.
But let's actually dig into the mechanics of this audit, because the AI isn't just randomly guessing. It is evaluating 6 distinct factors to determine whether a site survives that 5-second window or fails completely.
6 specific pillars.
Right. The first factor is the clarity of messaging. We've touched on this, but how is that evaluated objectively?
The system is essentially stripping away all the beautiful visual design. The colors, the layout, the images. It ignores all of that and looks solely at the raw text.
Just the words.
Just the words. It evaluates whether the text uses direct subject-verb-object clarity, or if it is hiding behind passive, convoluted corporate jargon.
So if it can't stand on its own, it fails.
Exactly. If you remove the pictures from a website, and the text alone cannot explain what the business does, the beautiful design is merely masking a fundamental communication failure.
That makes a lot of sense. The design should enhance the message, not carry the entire burden of explaining it.
Precisely.
The second factor it evaluates is differentiation from competitors. That is a notoriously difficult thing for humans to objectively measure, especially internally, because every founder thinks their company is uniquely special.
They do, but the reality is often a sea of sameness. The diagnostic framework evaluates the positioning statements to see if they are truly unique or if they are generic claims that could easily be copy and pasted onto any competitor's website in the same vertical.
Just swapping the logo.
Right. If your defining trait is we offer great customer service and innovative solutions, the AI will flag that as a failure to differentiate, because absolutely everyone claims that.
You have to actually plant a flag somewhere specific.
You must stand out.
The third factor is credibility signals, which directly addresses that silent question of trust we talked about earlier.
This is a critical evaluation point. The system is scanning the site for concrete proof. It is looking for the transition from "trust us, we are the best" to "here is the undeniable evidence."
Show me the numbers.
Yes. It flags the absence of quantifiable metrics, case studies, client testimonials, and data-backed claims. If a site relies entirely on empty adjectives like industry-leading or world-class without providing the proof to support it, the credibility score plummets.
Which brings us to the fourth factor, the strength of the offer. This is really about whether there is actual value being presented to the visitor, right?
Yeah.
If I am on a B2B software site, for example, the offer can't just be give us your money.
Exactly the opposite. The AI analyzes the value proposition. Is the company offering a compelling reason for the visitor to engage right now? A weak offer is a generic contact us form at the bottom of the page.
Nobody wants to just contact sales for fun.
Nobody. A strong offer provides a specific, tangible takeaway. Perhaps a free consultation that promises a custom roadmap or a downloadable resource that solves an immediate pain point. The framework evaluates whether the offer is actually worth the visitor's time and information.
And once you have a strong offer, you need the fifth factor, conversion readiness. I always think of this simply as friction.
Friction is the perfect word. Conversion readiness evaluates the user journey. The AI spots dead ends in the copy.
Where they just get stuck.
Right. It assesses whether the calls to action are clear, prominent, and logically placed. Clicking a button shouldn't feel like a leap of faith for the user.
They need to know what happens next.
If a visitor is ready to take the next step, but they have to hunt through 3 different menus to find out how to actually engage with the company, the site is not ready to convert.
The final evaluation factor is overall strategic coherence. This is probably my favorite one because we have all seen websites that feel like a Frankenstein monster.
The Frankenstein effect is incredibly common in larger organizations. Marketing writes the homepage, engineering writes the product pages, and the legal team writes the footer.
It's a mess of different voices.
Total mess. The diagnostic framework detects those tonal shifts and disjointed narratives. It evaluates whether the entire website feels like it is speaking with one unified voice driving toward one unified goal, or if it feels like 5 different departments fighting for the user's attention.
So the AI audits all 6 of these factors: clarity, differentiation, credibility, offer strength, conversion readiness, and strategic coherence. And it compiles all of that data into a specific output, the business clarity score.
The ultimate metric.
Why is generating a quantitative number so crucial for this process?
A quantitative score fundamentally changes the conversation in a boardroom. Many business leaders have this nagging intuition that their website isn't quite right, but they have no way to measure the severity of the problem. It's just a gut feeling. Without a score, discussions about messaging devolve into endless debates over personal opinions. One executive likes this copy, another prefers that phrase.
The loudest voice wins.
Exactly. A clarity score transforms an abstract feeling into a concrete metric. If your score is a 42 out of 100, the debate stops. It is no longer an opinion, it is a measurable baseline that demands action.
It removes the ego from the room entirely. If you get a high business clarity score, you can breathe a sigh of relief knowing your messaging foundation is solid.
They're in good shape.
But if you get a low score, that brutal honesty is staring you right in the face. It means visitors are experiencing deep confusion and bouncing before your sales team ever even knows they existed.
Which is terrifying for revenue.
But the documentation makes a very important distinction here that I think offers a lot of relief. The score is a diagnostic, not a verdict.
That is a vital distinction. A low score does not mean you need to throw the entire website in the trash fire your marketing agency and spend $50,000 on a 6-month redesign.
Oh, thank goodness.
Often the visual architecture is fine. The audit simply highlights exactly what text is confusing, what proof is missing, and what should be fixed first, completely bypassing the long reports and consulting jargon.
The solutions can actually be surprisingly targeted once you know exactly where the communication is breaking down. What kind of simple, high-impact fixes do the creators recommend based on this framework?
The materials outline several straightforward fixes that don't require structural overhauls. A prime example is rewriting a single above-the-fold headline.
Just one sentence.
Just one sentence. Instead of a headline that focuses on the company's capabilities like comprehensive financial wealth management services, you rewrite it to focus squarely on the outcome the customer desires.
Secure your retirement and stop worrying about market volatility.
Perfect. You shift the focus from what you do to the problem you solve for them.
Another incredibly simple fix is just adding the proof we discussed earlier. If you make a massive claim on your homepage, you don't need to redesign the site to back it up.
Not at all.
You just need to embed a real customer testimonial right below it, or link directly to a case study that proves your metric.
It's that easy.
These are not complicated, hard-coded changes, but they completely alter how a visitor perceives your trustworthiness in those critical first few seconds.
There's a guiding philosophy behind all of this that I think is brilliant. The goal of your digital presence is not absolute perfection. The goal is relentless clarity.
Relentless clarity. I love that.
You do not need the most artistically groundbreaking, perfectly coded website in your industry. You simply need to be the easiest company to understand and trust.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We have explored the massive blind spots created by the curse of knowledge. We've broken down the silent interrogation your visitors are putting you through, and we've exposed the danger of relying on polite, sugar-coated feedback.
The polite trap.
The core takeaway from this deep dive into the source material is undeniable. If you are not communicating exactly what you do and why it matters instantly, you are losing people.
It's just a fact.
You cannot hide behind a slick design or complex professional jargon. Clarity is the absolute only currency that matters.
And it serves as a powerful reminder that sometimes brutal honesty is the greatest catalyst for growth. It is incredibly easy to get trapped in the echo chamber of your own expertise.
We all do it.
I encourage everyone listening to look at their own projects today, whether that is a corporate website, a pitch deck, or a new product launch, and interrogate it. Are you suffering from the curse of knowledge?
Are you listing your capabilities, or are you proving your outcomes?
It is a necessary audit we all need to run on our own work.
Definitely.
This raises an important question, something that builds on the psychology we have unpacked today. The source material focuses entirely on using the subjective AI to audit corporate websites.
Right.
But if an AI framework can instantly detect when a company is hiding behind vague, polite jargon on a homepage, how long until we start utilizing similar AI to audit our daily personal communication?
Oh, that is a fascinating avenue to explore.
Think about the friction in our daily lives. Imagine running your own daily emails, your meeting agendas, or your project proposals through a ruthless clarity filter before you hit send.
We would all be so much more efficient.
We hide behind polite, convoluted jargon in our professional interactions every single day to avoid conflict or seem more sophisticated.
Circling back and touching base.
Exactly. If we applied this level of brutal honesty, if we force every email to pass that 5-second test of what is this, why is it relevant, and what is the outcome, how much total confusion and wasted time could we eliminate from our lives?
That is an incredible thought to end on. Imagine having a filter for your inbox that simply rejects an email and says, this is corporate jargon.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Write it again, clear.
I would buy that software today.
I think we could all benefit from a little more ruthless clarity in our daily interactions. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. We hope this exploration of communication gaps, the curse of knowledge, and the immense power of objective feedback has given you a new lens to view your own projects. Keep striving for that extreme clarity, don't let the jargon win, and we will leave you to mull over that final thought. Until next time.